Now I'm just going to show you how to use a basting stitch to create a gather, and you can do this to create ruffles or an inset piece, something that you want to gather. So from the top edge of this piece, we're going to use the 5/8 inch seam allowance and sew a basting stitch all the way along the edge. The basting stitch is the largest straight stitch on your sewing machine. You're going to use this along this edge at the 5/8 inch seam allowance. Do not back stitch at the beginning or the end, and make sure if you've just loaded your bobbin that you've pulled the bobbin out here so that you have both a top thread and a bobbin thread pulled out the back of the machine, because you need the length of the thread to be able to pull the gathers. So to do this, we need to adjust our stitch, and we're going to push this all the way up to the 5, which on this machine is the largest straight stitch. We're still on the straight stitch, so it's going to give us the longest length stitch from where it enters into the fabric. Then you're going to take your fabric and set it under the presser foot, lined up with the 5/8 inch seam allowance line. Lower the presser foot, then sew a straight stitch along the entire top edge of your fabric. And remember, do not back stitch. When you get to the end, you're going to come right up here, leave a tiny bit of space, raise the needle, and then pull this out so that you have some thread to work with right here. You don't want to cut it very close to the fabric. So give yourself about 5 or 6 inches, like this. To create a secure gather, you want to have a second row of basting stitches. That way, if you're pulling and you happen to pull too hard or the thread gets stuck and one row breaks, you don't lose your whole set of gathering. It'll also hold it in place better by using 2 as you're adjusting to even out your gathering. So to do that, we're just going to place this back under the presser foot, and then I'm just using a point inside the foot to line up my first stitching line. And then I'm going to straight stitch right along, probably about 1/8 of an inch away. So here you can see 2 rows of basting stitches, and then we have our threads along this side over here, and this is what we're going to use to pull the gather. You'll want to separate your threads so that your top threads are on the front side, and then you can see on the back you have 2 bottom threads, and these were from the bobbin side. An easy way to secure these bobbin threads is to put a pin into your fabric, just like that. Take your 2 bobbin threads and kind of like in an 8, you go around back and forth. And that just secures the bobbin threads. So then from the front side, right here, you're just going to carefully pull on these front threads. And as you pull them, your fabric is going to bunch up, and you'll slide the fabric down, pull the threads, and you can see it bunch up right here, and then slide the fabric down the threads. And you just keep doing that until you get it to the desired length that you need your gathered portion to be. Now you can see here I have it gathered along the top edge of the fabric. So this could create a ruffle. If you sewed it up the back, you could have a skirt or a long skirt for a doll dress. So once you have your gather pulled, you'll just work to make sure that it's even, and you can slide this around and push your gathers back from one side to the other, and just make sure that it's all gathered evenly. And then straight stitch over the end to secure the threads and hold them in place so that it doesn't stretch back out. So this is just a basic illustration of how you would create a gather.